Good afternoon. And one part of my message is that there is a recording that we will make available afterwards, but won't include the meditation because of copywriting, but we might be able to give you that link. Welcome to our series. How was that meditation? I'm not going to collect your answers. You'll have an opportunity to share, but we wanted to remind you of the title, Self-Care Isn't Selfish. Heal yourself, your family, and the world. Some of you know me. My name is Donna Avey, and today I'm your MC. And thank you for taking time to join us today. It's hectic holiday preparation time. I'm sure everybody's busy. Taking time with us, we're very grateful. So before we begin, we'd like, if you're not speaking, please keep yourself on mute. And this will help minimize our background noise or any audio that might come up, and optimally you can hear us. If you notice that you have any problem with the presentation, hearing it, please chat with us or raise your hand or let us know. Today's webinar is being recorded, as I said before, and Myrna was very successful at sharing things with us last time, so hopefully there will be no bugs this time either. So we'd like you to know a little bit about where this series came from. It makes me a little emotional because I really love this group of people that is doing our series together. We're Women's Federation for World Peace members, but we're also coaches with Hilda Wyman. And she's the founder of Generational Healing. And we've been through her trainings, and some of us are still working on improving how we deliver generational healing and family coaching. And that's why we're doing this. We feel inspired to combine this healing work that we're learning about with the vision of Women's Federation for World Peace, which is women working together to establish a culture of heart in the family, community, nation, and world in order to achieve genuine and sustainable peace under God. You might have gotten it, but we're just learning how to do this together. The four of us you will see as your presenters today, and then there's some others of us that are in a peer network group. And we're learning together through this process, and you're a part of that learning. So thank you again, and we welcome you to join us each month in the series that we're doing. We are on the second month now. So today we will begin with part 2 of Real Love, and I get to introduce Myrna Lapres, but she's probably not a stranger to you. And so Myrna will be taking care of our breakouts, and she's doing a core part of our presentation today. I would love to go on and on about how wonderful I feel she is and what a wonderful friend and a good peer mentor she is and all those kinds of things, but we have a lot to deliver. So here she is.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here today. And for those who will watch the recording later, we will be connecting again each month, hopefully. And I'd like to begin actually by doing a little review for those of you who weren't here last time. Show my PowerPoint here. So our overall theme for the whole series is self-care isn't selfish. Heal yourself, your family, and the world. And we begin by healing ourselves so that we can then have a better relationships with others. And our goals and intentions for this series are to gain knowledge and understanding about the importance of self-care, to learn techniques and practices that help us nurture ourselves in a supportive environment, which is one of our goals also of creating a supportive environment here monthly, to begin to let go of patterns and behaviors that no longer serve us, to improve the connection and communication with our family and friends, and to invite in gratitude, hope, and joy into our lives. The reality is that we cannot outsource self-care, self-love. As difficult as it is, I think it's probably for all women to take care of our own needs. If we don't make time for that, it won't happen. And it happens more easily when we have the support of others. So a circle of friends is important. And last time we began with exploring some of the concepts of real love by Dr. Greg Bear. So this is part 2 of real love. Last time we talked about that we begin with the desire to change and to grow ourselves. And I assume that you are all here because you want to do that. And we also need to exercise faith that this is possible. Faith in ourselves, faith in the process, faith in our Heavenly Parent, and faith that we are sons and daughters of a loving God. I'd like to ask you just for a minute to sit comfortably and close your eyes if you want, and imagine that you are in the back of a chauffeur-driven car. You're going to a town that you've never visited before. And although it's a lovely place in a beautiful valley, you're not going there to see the sights. You're going there because you've been invited and you have heard that everyone is genuinely happy. They're happy because they all feel love, and in this town, there's no fear or anger, and they invited you to come. And as you pull up to the house, dozens of people surround your car and help you into the house, ask about your trip, and look at you in a way that you've never seen or felt before. You sense with absolute certainty that their only concern is your happiness, because they have everything that matters to them in their life, because they feel loved and happy themselves. They don't need anything from you. And you begin to realize that as you communicate with these new friends, you can see that it doesn't matter to them what you say, how smart you are, or beautiful. You don't have to do anything to impress them or get them to like you, because they love you no matter what you do. So just allow yourself to enjoy this feeling. Let it sink in and experience, let the unconditional love fill your whole being. As the time to leave this lovely place approaches, a new desire may arise in you that you want to include this kind of feeling in your daily life. And as we come back to the present, think about how you felt when you were in this place. Did you feel any anxiety, frustration, awkwardness, shame? Most likely not, because you had the one thing that matters the most in the world, unconditional love. When we experience that, then we lose our need to feel hurt, afraid, or angry. You can open your eyes if they're still closed. So this is the feeling of being unconditionally loved. It might be difficult to imagine because we've been judged and criticized and conditionally supported for so long that the idea of being unconditionally accepted is almost inconceivable. And actually what happens in our life, there becomes this vicious cycle of conflict. We become afraid and defensive, and then When we become afraid, we attack or act like a victim, and then other people are protecting themselves and they hurt us back and criticize us and get angry, and this cycle can go on and on. So everyone is like this. We judge and criticize others and they judge and criticize us. Sometimes we do it in our mind. Maybe we don't say it out loud, but it has become a cycle that has led to a lot of conflicts in our world, in our families. Some months ago, a friend sent me a link to a 21-day meditation with Oprah and Deepak Chopra entitled Hope in Uncertain Times. And during one of the sessions, Deepak spoke of the secret of finding hope and happiness. He said it happens when we shift from our focus from the problem or what's happened to the solution. So in life, most of us focus on our attention on what happened, our challenge, the thing that makes us upset that lies right in front of us. And Deepak shared an analogy. He said, imagine that your problem is to find a book in a dark, cluttered basement. You can't see clearly and you keep banging your head. And if you focus on the problem that you can't see, you might try to squint your eyes, or maybe they gradually become used to the dark. But if we focus on the solution, we might pause and find a light switch and turn on the light so that we can see more clearly. And then we find the book. So in a sense, this is what we need to do for ourselves, is to begin to shine the light so that we can become more aware and see more clearly. We often disengage from what's happened to us, our story, in order to protect us because of the pain, the disappointments, and even the failures that we've experienced. If we recognize the opportunity to be awakened to instead of seeing them as problems, but something that comes up is an awakening to something that needs our attention, then we can turn our focus to growth and healing. I don't know about you, but my family was really into the Star Wars trilogy, the movies. In the Emperor Strikes Back, Yoda is training Luke to be a Jedi warrior. And he's pointing to a dark cave. Yoda explains to Luke that the cave is dangerous and strong with the dark side, but that Luke must go in. And Luke asks, what's in the cave? And Yoda replies, only what you take with you. When we begin to address the pain and wounds of our past, it might feel like we're walking into a cave with clammy hands and trembling knees. We might stop. We must stop hiding the fear that we have buried and venture into this new territory. Confronting our fears means that we have to look at the messages that we've assigned to our failures and, who we are, what that makes us, and what we tell ourselves about our self-worth and our value. Bit by bit, if we can learn to acknowledge those painful feelings and hard emotions, then even though it's incredibly difficult, we can begin to let go of the things that no longer serve us. As I said in the beginning, that's one of our goals here. And so if we want to harness that power or force within, we must go. Becoming the best we can be takes our courage and honesty and belief in our good self. But maybe, what if becoming our best self is more like a journey through a tunnel instead of a cave? We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, the hope where we are going. And then maybe our goal becomes treating ourselves with compassion and forgiveness and understanding and hope. So one of the things we talked about last time was that in a safe environment, we begin to take off the masks that we have worn and begin telling the truth about ourselves. And in a couple of past webinars, we've also talked about what those masks do to us and how they come to be. So I'd like to share this layers of personality that comes from Hilda Wienman's coach training. Actually, it's developed by Richard Cohen. So we are all born with our true selves as a child of God and our inherited selves, what we inherit from our parents, our extended family, and our ancestors, both good and unresolved issues. And what we need and desire is to receive love and understanding and forgiveness when we make mistakes. And if we receive those things, then we grow and become our divine selves. But sometimes what happens is that we experience one or more of these things of abandonment, neglect, abuse, enmeshment, whether it's from our parents or caregivers or our teachers or fellow students or experiences in life. And that can result in us having anger, hurt, and pain. And if we are guided to understand that this is not what we should be experiencing, we can get back to our true selves. But if that doesn't happen, then we often ask, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this? What did I do wrong? If our parents and others help us to understand and sort it out, we can move back to this love and understanding. But without it, we get angry and we experience hurt and pain. And then from this place, our false self comes into being. From our God-given talents and gifts, we create masks that we do in order to survive. We do that is to help us manage the wounds and the pain. And as a child, none of this is our fault. But now, as adults, we have the opportunity to look at it and to see what we want to change. So look around the circle here. I forgot to say this in the beginning, but if you have some paper, I'm going to ask you to write a couple things down. So perhaps if you recognize any of these masks or false selves in the blue circle, you can write it down. Perhaps suppose I'm a kind person, but I learn to put others' needs first, and I bend over backwards at the expense of my own needs, and I even deny my own needs. Or maybe I am I have good sense of humor, and I'm a class clown, but I use that sense of class clown to deflect what's really going on inside of me. Perhaps if I'm really good at taking care of others, a caretaker, but again, denying my own needs. Or a perfectionist, somebody who wants to do everything right to the point of that I have done this before. I choose not to do things that I'm not good at. So look around this blue circle, and just if you identify any of these or other things, just jot them down. You're going to have a chance to share in the breakout room. The thing that happens is that all of this can literally make us sick. We can develop, oh, sorry, I forgot to click a few things here. The masks are our armor to protect us, our defense mechanisms, and even can become substitute ways of receiving love. But it can literally make us sick, and we can become numb. We can develop addictions. We can develop fears that keep us from going into relationships, all kinds of sicknesses. And we get stuck in these roles and our life is out of balance. So these masks become a distorted way of gaining affection, affirmation, and acceptance. To develop healthy relationships, we have to begin to become more self-aware and see the things that we do that aren't healthy. So the reality is that when we hide behind a mask, hide our fear and our pain, even when someone is trying to give us unconditional love, we can't receive it. Like this little guppy here that's pretending to be a shark. So the fourth part of the real love tenets that we want to focus on today is gradually learning to replace getting and protecting behaviors with healthy habits. So we can't do that until we learn to recognize them. So because of our past experiences and our pain and wounding and fear, we respond to other people and events through a process that Dr. Greg Bear calls event, judgment, feeling, reaction. An event is anything that happens or something that somebody does, and we often think that other people make us mad or upset or frustrated, but it's actually based on our past experiences. Based on our past experiences, we make a judgment, and that determines how we feel and how we react. Suppose I have a bad experience with a dog when I'm a child, and I make a judgment that all dogs are dangerous. So based on that, every time I hear a dog bark, then I could react. I could feel afraid, and I could react by running away. So just in the same way, when we do things with people, have experiences with people, we create a judgment about that way, that we sometimes call that a trigger, something that triggers us to feel and react in a certain way. And the way that we react is our getting and protecting behaviors. So it's important to become aware of these, because we can't change something that we don't recognize or don't acknowledge in ourselves. By being more present to our awareness, then we can observe our feelings and our reactions and actually make a choice. Oh, I don't need to be afraid of dogs anymore. I can, my neighbor has a dog, and that dog's really nice. And when I go for a walk with my granddaughter, that dog wants to come up and talk to her, or nuzzle her, play with us. So our getting protecting behaviors fall into 4 categories: lying, attacking, acting like a victim, and running or clinging. Now you might think, well, I don't do those things, but it's a little bit more subtle than that. And I'm going to give you some definitions and examples in just a minute. But it's important to know that getting and protecting behaviors comes from emptiness and fear. When we feel afraid or we don't feel unconditionally loved. So this is another place where I would like you to take note of anything that comes up for you around when I'm going to give you the examples and something that you see in yourself. Because again, as I said, we're going to have an opportunity to discuss this in breakout rooms. So we are lying using a getting behavior anytime we manipulate people to like us. And we're lying anytime we do something to avoid someone else's disapproval. If you have a boss who really gets angry, then we might not tell them the truth about something because we don't want them to be upset at us about something that happened on the job. So some examples are exaggerating our accomplishments or bragging, not taking responsibility for our actions, saying what people want to hear, even if it's not how we really feel, covering up or hiding our mistakes, looking for praise, pretending to be what we are not, accentuating our appearance for sexual attraction, and doing what people want when we don't really want to. So in other words, not being true to ourselves, going along with something where we feel maybe even pushed into or bullied. So if there's any of those things that you recognize, then just make a note of it. So attacking, we attack people when we manipulate them with fear. This gives us a rush of power. So we'll feel helpless, less helpless and afraid. So the reality is, as a parent, if we are a little strong with our children, sometimes that makes them act more quickly. But in the long run, it isn't a solution. So sometimes we might push people away because we don't really want to answer their questions, or we don't want to deal with them. So anger is by far the most common. Criticizing others, whether it's our spouse, our children, expressing disappointment or irritation. Now, this doesn't have to be verbal. It can be in our face or in our body language. Just, you know, that we don't say a word, but we convey that message anyway. Also, insisting on being right. That's really a way of manipulating people. Sighing with annoyance or disgust, arguing, blaming, or acting hurt, thereby putting the blame that someone else hurt me. So again, if there's any of these that resonate with you, write them down. The next one is acting like a victim. And victims endlessly say, look what you did to me, or look what you should have done for me. And it's not my fault. It's this person or that person or this situation. So we use victimhood to get attention and to avoid taking responsibility or getting disapproval for our choices that we make. So some examples of this are making people feel guilty for hurting us or not doing enough for us. Whining, acting like we had no choice, and no matter what else could I do, blaming, denying responsibility for the choices that we did make that didn't turn out well, sulking, being ungrateful, or complaining. So some of these might be just subtle that, you know, we might notice in our conversations with others, that we blame the boss or the administration, or we blame our children or our spouse. So again, write one down if there's something that resonates with you. The next one is clinging. Anytime we try to manipulate people for more attention or imitation love. So examples of this are whining, demanding attention, complaining that we don't have enough attention. Perhaps if we have adult children and they come to visit us and we say, do you really have to leave now? Or guilt them, I never hear from you. Or if we use excessive gratitude or flattery, or we just talk so that people can't leave. We talk. I'm sure you can all think of someone who you experienced that with. And running is the last one. We run when we avoid pain. So sometimes this means physically leaving a difficult situation or even difficult relationship, but it might also mean just emotionally withdrawing, burying ourselves in our work, our church volunteer work, our hobbies, avoiding difficult situations by being busy with other things. Sometimes it's addictions, alcohol, drugs, video games, binge watching TV, porn, just shutting down and not speaking, or changing the subject because you don't want to deal with a difficult topic. All of those are avoiding pain. So it's important also to sometimes we don't want to focus on the things that are challenging or difficult or our dark side, but we can begin to give up our getting and protecting behaviors by recognizing and acknowledging them. shining a light on them for ourselves and looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. We can't change what we don't recognize, and it's important to look at it as something that I like to call it an awakening. Rather than it's a problem, it's an awakening. It's something that I need to pay attention to become aware of it, and I need to pay attention to it. So in just a minute, we're going to go into breakout rooms, but I'm going to see if there's any questions first. When we go into the breakout room, you can share 3 things, one or 2 things. You don't have to share all 3. So one is a mask that you recognize that you wear, protect yourself. One getting or protecting behavior that you recognize you use. Maybe you recognize yourself in all those categories. So just pick one. And also one self-care practice that you use or you want to begin to use in order to support you in making changes in your life. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute, and I can put this back up again if you want to make a note. So it's one mask, one getting or protecting behavior, and one self-care practice. All right, so before we go into the breakout room, are there any questions? Anyone? You can unmute yourself and or you can put it in the chat. Any questions? Sarah, go ahead. Unmute. You have to unmute. Oh, okay. Yes.
I saw the mask slide and I saw the getting and protecting behavior slides. But what is the self-care practices? Was there a slide on that?
No, there wasn't. And we're going to use, after we come back, we're going to have, we're going to introduce tapping or EFT, but it can be just as simple as breathing. It can be for a walk. It can be meditation. It's something that you already have in at your disposal.
So the self-care is not specifically geared to these things that you're presenting today. It's not like
it can be
general. It's general.
Yeah, general. What's something that helps? Yes.
Oh, okay. Just tried to clarify. Thanks, Myrna.
Okay, sure. All right. Any other questions? All right. So
welcome back, everyone. Woo! Frankly, I love breakouts. So we hope you had meaningful discussions when you were in your breakout rooms. And we would like to ask if there's 1 or 2 people who can unmute and share about any insight or realization or discovery that you had. But because we want to move on to some really important possible applications of what we've been talking about, we wanted you to keep it short. Please share. Just unmute yourself.
I can say something real quick.
Okay, sure.
I had a wonderful conversation with Roseanne Kennett, and I was really having a hard time to really figure out which one of these kinds of masks kind of thing I was more identifying with. But I think I was happy to find a kind of a conclusion of protecting behavior, and that behind that mask, or that there's like a unease inside, like I'm not at peace. I feel it's really need to protect people, and but how to work to be calm and to be peaceful inside, and be able to not make myself anxious, and also has a little bit to do with menopause and hormones and things like that. So, but thank you. That was just a quick thing I wanted to put there.
Thank you, Sarah. That's very insightful to me too. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? No big ahas, no, wow, I wish I could remember that better.
I just wanted to share that it is a lot of content and a lot of information, and I think it takes time. I think maybe the first few times we hear this, I know the first times I heard it, I had no idea what was my getting or protecting behavior or my mask. And just over time, it's just like the door just started opening and realizing what was behind there. Even something that I thought was really good, like being an advocate, fighting for what's right, fighting for the underdog. But there was a little bit of, I was sharing with Sarah, a control factor there. You know, really, I have to make this better for this person. I have to do that. And then as I learned to let go of the control, then it's just amazing how things started falling into place without me having to be so strong or fighting about it, just being a little more gentle. So, and I really appreciate it because it really came out in our conversation with Sarah. Sometimes just sharing, even if you're not even aware you were aware of it, it kind of comes up just through the sharing. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Dan.
So please, anyone else, because I have a teeny little thing. Myrna and I were in the same group because we were also working out logistics, and it turned out that she was talking about how we gain our insights kind of in layers being peeled. And I was telling her that I've heard that before, but I think of it more as a lava lamp. Things come up and I have to deal with them, and then they go down, and then something new surfaces and comes up. So I don't see it as neatly packaged as an onion.
Say something quickly too. I'm always touched by this kind of sharing, because you always feel that, you know, those universal connections we have in these, you know, various issues we have to deal with. You know, most of us, you know, even it is a lot, as Roseanne says, it's a lot of information, but you know, most of us, we can relate. You know, we all have parts of specifically some of those things, or maybe a lot of those things, of the masks and the, you know, how we react and all those things. I haven't quite got the lingo down right, but I think it's that universal aspect of it, that we're not alone in this. I've experienced it many times in my life. You know, Myrna knows, you know, we did a group together many years ago, and it was the most amazing thing when you know that others are going through the same, you know, those similar, different, everyone's unique, but similar. That universality of it always touches me.
That was beautiful. The unique universality. That's a fun word to say.
Something.
The uniqueness and universalness of it all. Yeah, universality. It's beautiful. That was so well put. And the value of self-care and the value of sharing about our self-care needs seems to be what you're reflecting on. Well, we've sort of reached our limit in the terms of time. We can move on, and we're hoping that at the end, after we do the emotion freedom technique, information sharing and tapping, that we'll be able to spend some time after that, even sharing a little bit about our experiences with that too. So we use emotional freedom technique because sometimes we notice, even like going into a breakout group, we feel a little anxious or stressed or afraid, or especially challenged by something or someone in our lives. So when these emotions come up, guess what? There's something we can do that's real fast and works well. Ha ha. And we don't have anybody else that we have to have with us. So that is called the emotion freedom technique, and it involves tapping. And I would like to introduce, now this is the deal. It's Roseanne Canette, but Lisa Freistetter thought she would be doing it because Roseanne was out of internet, but her internet came back. So we will have Roseanne telling us more about EFT and leading us through some exercises. I think first we're having a couple of videos, right, Roseanne? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was pretty miraculous. My internet just came back on about 10 minutes ago. So I love EFT, and I thought this time we would share a couple of videos by people that are really steeped in emotional freedom technique. They've taught it, they've used it, and they will also give a demonstration. And then afterwards, we'll ask for a volunteer if anybody wants to just work on something that might be coming up for them now, or something that they're feeling uncomfortable about that's coming up in the future. And we can also go through it together as a group. So if you can just keep that in mind while we're watching the videos. It's like a 2-minute one and a 7-minute one, and then we'll come back and we'll do it together. So thank you, Myrna, for your technology.
Okay, hold on. I shared the wrong thing here. Let's try it again. There we go.
Call it tapping as a general term because we're literally tapping on endpoints of meridians of our body. We're tapping on these points while saying certain statements, while focusing on the stress, the challenge, whatever's going on in our lives.
It's this beautiful, kind of elegant interplay between energy and psychology.
Tapping is one of the most directed and powerful ways to peel those layers away of chronic stress.
Without EFT, I don't know where I would be. I don't know what I would do.
EFT just, it saved my life. There's no doubt.
I think of tapping as part of a claim to the possibility of healing.
You don't have to believe it. Just tap with me anyway.
Once you experience it, then you know that it's working.
I don't know what more incentive you need than that.
Sorry, it started over. Okay, here's our next one.
Welcome to the tappingsolution.com. I am Jessica Ortner, author of the New York Times bestseller, The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. And in this short video, I am going to introduce you to the tapping points. Just by learning these 9 points, you can start your journey to relieve stress. Many of these points you may already intuitively use. A lot of times when we're feeling anxious or stressed, we go like this, or we put our hand on our chest. Now we're using these points in a very conscious manner. So the very first point that you need to learn is the side of the hand. And it doesn't matter what side of the body you tap on. This point is called the karate chop point. You got it. And tap along with me so you can get comfortable with these points. The next point is the eyebrow point, and this is where the hair begins on your eyebrow, right on that bone. There you go, you got it. Now you're gonna follow that bone until you find yourself on the side of your eye. So it's not your temple, it's right on that bone. The next point is underneath the eye. So once again, you follow that bone until you find yourself right underneath the eye. And as you're tapping, you might notice that some points are more sensitive than others. The next point is underneath the nose, so right between your upper lip and your nose. Then we have the under the lip point, or some people call it the chin point, and it's right underneath your lip on that crease between your chin and your lip. The next one is the collarbone point. So you can use your whole hand to tap on your chest, or you can feel that U-shaped bone, and if you go down an inch and over an inch on either side, you're gonna hit that point. Perfect. The next point is underneath the arm, and it's about a hand width from your armpit. For women, this is about where your bra strap lies. And then the last point, and yes, I know it looks silly, but a great point to hit a lot of these meridians is right on the top of the head. There you go. So those are the 9 points. Now, when you want to start to tap, the first thing to do is to notice what is really coming up. What's your most pressing issue? Are you nervous about a deadline at work? Are you anxious about a phone call or some news that you've heard? Whatever it is, get clear on what's creating the anxiety in your body. Because when we are feeling stressed, we're not just experiencing stress in our head, we feel it with our whole body, which is why it's so powerful to use a stress relief technique that incorporates the body. So you start by tapping on the side of the hand, and you start with the setup statement. The setup statement is pretty easy, and it sets you up for the process. You state your challenge, and you end it with a phrase of acceptance, or simply letting yourself know that you're okay. So it sounds something like this. Even though I'm really anxious about this meeting, I accept how I feel. Or even though I'm really stressed about this upcoming event, I accept how I feel and I give myself permission to relax. There's a lot of different ways to do the setup statement, but what's key is to let yourself know that you honor how you feel. Because too often when we're trying to move past an emotion, we're fighting against it. When we allow ourselves to accept where we are and how we feel, we open ourselves up to releasing it. Then you tap on the rest of the points by simply sharing how you feel. So you can pretend that you're calling a friend and you're just complaining, you're just telling them how you feel. This is the tape that you're probably already running in your head. So as a short example, going with this theme of being nervous about a meeting, it would start with tapping on the side of the hand and saying, even though I'm so nervous about this upcoming meeting, I accept how I feel and I give myself permission to relax. You would do that 3 times, and now you tap on the rest of the points while giving a voice to how you feel. And this sends a calming signal to your brain, letting your brain know that even though you're nervous about this meeting, that you are safe, that it's safe to relax. And when you can relax, you can be more resourceful and creative and do a great job at your meeting. So then you would go to the eyebrow point and say something like this: stress around this meeting. Side of the eye, I'm nervous I won't do well. Under the eye, I care so much about this meeting and it's causing me anxiety. Under the nose, the stress around this meeting. Chin, all of these expectations. Collarbone, this tension I feel in my body. Underneath the arm, all this stress around this meeting. Top of the head, all this stress around this meeting. If you're not sure what to say, like I mentioned before, you can pretend you're talking to a friend, or you can just say the same thing, honoring how you feel, the stress around this meeting, the stress around this meeting. And once we bring down the intensity, we can focus on some positive phrases. Because when we pull out the weeds, we're able to now seed. We can actually say positive things to ourselves and we believe them. So once you feel better, and that's the key, when you feel better, you can move to something more positive. So it would sound something like this. I'm prepared. Side of the eye. I'm calm and confident. Under the eye. I'm ready to share my ideas. Under the nose, I feel strong and confident. Chin, this is my time. Collarbone, I am ready for this meeting. Under the arm, I feel calm and confident. Top of the head, now is my time. So you can incorporate how you're feeling, letting go of the anxiety, and when you're able to move that, then you bring in the more positive, and then it actually feels real. So next time you tap, notice, as soon as you start feeling better, try to put in some positive statements. You'll get to the point where you can think about that meeting, and your body feels relaxed. And when you feel relaxed, then it's easier to bring in more empowering thoughts. Now, when you tell yourself that you can feel confident and prepared, you can believe yourself because you let go of the anxiety that was coming up with those thoughts. So that's a very, very quick introduction on where the tapping points are and how to tap. But here at thetappingsolution.com, we have a lot more resources so you can really learn how to get the best results. Well, it's been an honor to introduce tapping to you. I hope this is just the beginning. And until we meet again, take care and keep tapping.
Uncover and rewire the root of what's keeping you.
So Jessica and Nick are a brother and sister, and they're my favorite tappers. There's a lot of people out there that teach about tapping, but those two are awesome, and they do a lot of free summits tapping on different topics. So is there anyone who would like to volunteer to work on something today, feeling stressed about anything, whether it's the holidays or work or parenting, whatever? Any brave volunteers? It's easy.
I'll step up.
Yay, who's that? I don't see your picture here.
Oh, sorry, my daughter's taking a nap, so I gotta keep my camera off.
Oh, okay. And what's your name?
Hedra, you can call me Rika. It's my middle name.
Rika?
Rika, yeah.
Rika, okay, great. Thanks, Rika. And also, while we are working together, everyone can think about something that they might want to tap on, some emotion or stress. And we'll all go through it together at the same time. So Rika, what's going on? What's coming up for you that you want to work on?
So what's going on is there's the Christmas season, you know.
Yeah.
And during Christmas, a lot of times people get together for holidays. People want to see each other. And for me, I feel like I'm in a conflict where, you know, I want to spend time with my kids. I have my 3 and 5-year-old are with me, and my 10-year-old is with my ex-husband. And so, you know, he wants to see the kids, and great. And also his family want to have a really relationship with me. They still want to be close to me. Because I've been with them for 10 years. And for me, I want to be close with them, but it makes me feel very uncomfortable being the former daughter-in-law and then being in a room with my ex and his new partner, and everyone's coupled. I'm the only one who's kind of single right now.
Well, that's a lot. You got a lot going on. So would you say the main emotion that you're feeling that you'd like to work on is the discomfort with your ex and his family? Is it stress, discomfort, anxiety? What should we focus on? What emotion feels the strongest?
My strongest emotion is, I think, just being comfortable around I think just my kid's father and his new partner, and just kind of co-parenting around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's work on that. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense would you rate this emotion, with 0 or 1 just a mild annoyance, and 10 being very stress and anxiety producing?
I always say it's about 8 or a 9.
8 or a 9, okay.
Yeah,
Probably because of the holidays bringing it up.
Yeah, it's the
even more.
holidays, and I think even if it's not the holidays, I think just seeing that together, or seeing her name, kind of like makes me really angry, and it's not really her fault, so just a lot of, I guess, anger shows up as well for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a tough situation. So Rika, we'll start with the discomfort. If at any time something else comes up, whether it's anger or stress, you can just say the word that's coming up, because in some ways it's like peeling layers of an onion. But we'll start with the discomfort, and you'll tap on the side of your hand, the karate chop point, saying, even though I'm feeling this discomfort around seeing my ex, I love and accept myself. Can you say that 3 times while you're tapping? And everybody else can also tap on whatever it is they're working on.
So even though I feel uncomfortable around my ex, I feel comfortable around myself.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And then one more time, even though I feel uncomfortable around my ex, I completely accept myself. Or I feel, like you said, I feel comfortable with myself.
Even though I feel uncomfortable with my ex, I feel comfortable with myself.
Okay, great. So let's start tapping on the inner eyebrow. This discomfort in the outer eyebrow, being around him makes me feel so uncomfortable. And you can say it out loud too, Rika, as you're tapping.
Okay.
So I'll just get it started, and then you can chime in whenever you want.
Okay.
This discomfort is kind of overwhelming. I feel so uncomfortable when I have to see my kid's father.
It makes me uncomfortable seeing my kids and their father.
It brings up a lot of uncomfortable feelings.
It makes me feel really uncomfortable.
On your chest, and then under your arm. This discomfort, especially around the holidays, when I have to see him and his family. And then the top of the head. Feel so uncomfortable with this situation of seeing my ex and his family. And then the inner eyebrow. This discomfort. Anything else coming up, Rika?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll stick with the discomfort and just go through one more round. So uncomfortable under the eye, under the nose, the discomfort of being around my kid's father, and being the only one that's not in a couple. Makes me so uncomfortable. Under the chin.
Didn't you say also she feels so angry? She feels very angry.
Are you feeling angry, Rika?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just stick with the discomfort. The chest. So many uncomfortable feelings. I wish they would just go away. Under the arm. So uncomfortable. And the top of the head. This discomfort. So, Rika, where's your level of discomfort now on a scale of 1 to 10?
Lower.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any other feelings coming up around it, or is it still pretty much the same?
I don't feel as stressed about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think what's coming up is just be me.
The what?
Just tell myself just to be myself.
And
yeah.
So that's the final step. Some people just need to do this like 3 or 4 rounds, but since you're already feeling a little better, a little less stress, then we can plug in the positive statement of, so how would you like to feel in this situation? You mentioned something about how you feel about yourself.
I guess I want to, regardless of my relationship with them. So I'm still part of the family.
Okay, good. So let's go through the same tapping points with that statement.